Well, hello there. So, as you can see, I'm wearing this shoulder thing. I just had a rotator cuff surgery, and I was inspired to make this video because I watched a few of them before I had my surgery, and some of them were rather old. And I just thought, well, you know what? I have a YouTube channel. I'm going to make a couple of videos. I'll put them together for you. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe give you some ideas about your surgery, what it might be like. I did have a full rotator cuff tear. So there's, you start reading, researching whether you should get surgery, whether you shouldn't. I did have a full super spinatus, I think it's called, tear, and I also had a bone spur. So surgery was really necessary. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I'm one of those people that I want it done and I want it done now. So part of my journey was actually trying to get to surgery. I am fully insured. I have two insurance policies, so it really didn't cost me much. Nothing actually. But trying to get there was a challenge, and I'll give you that story, and then I'll tell you about some of my recovery. I'm currently on day 4, and some of the things that I've learned so far that might help you, and you can be prepared for. So, number one, my surgery, my injury was rather weird. I picked up an electric scooter and I went to put it in the back of my truck. And it wasn't the picking up of the scooter that bothered me, but it was the reaching out and pushing out. And I heard it tear. And I'm watching the video, so it's backwards, but I heard it tear. I knew right away there was a problem. And my arm felt limp, went down. I couldn't do anything. You couldn't lay on it. It was sore, which is a sign of a rotator cuff injury. And so I called my doctor, and he said go to the walk-in clinic. And I went to the walk-in clinic, and of course they took X-rays and said, "Here's your thing for your orthopedic." Now I've been through several surgeries on my knees. I've had several orthopedic surgeries on my meniscuses. I don't know what you would call it. Anyway, so I've had those. So, and I've also had trigger finger surgery. Some surgery is not that big of a deal for me. It's like, it's great, fine, let's get it done. But I wanted it done sooner rather than later because I want to go in the holidays wearing this contraption. So we'll talk about this here in a minute. I really wanted it. I wanted it off as soon as possible. And they say recovery's 6 weeks in a sling, 6 months to a year for full recovery. So I do work physically quite a bit. So the sooner I get it done, the faster. So I pushed them to get the surgery as quick as I possibly could, and I wound up because I couldn't. The walk-in clinic gave me a referral from orthopedic. Then you gotta wait for to get the orthopedic. Then he's gonna send you for an MRI. Then you gotta wait for that appointment. Then you get the MRI. You gotta wait to go to the orthopedic. The system's stupid. So I started shortcutting it. And since I had my appointment for my orthopedic, I've had relationship with him. I called my general practitioner and said, "Hey, can you get me an MRI right away?" And he did. Well, he put it down as stat because it was the only way to get it to my orthopedic right away. The problem is if you have an order for stat, they have to do it within 24 to 48 hours, or they kick it back. They don't do it. So that didn't work because I couldn't get in. So I finally called one of the local places, and for $325 they would do the MRI. I paid cash. I wanted it done, so I paid cash, credit card, whatever, and I got it done. And they didn't do a great job. You could tell everybody that looked at it was like, okay. It looked like a complete tear, but they weren't exactly sure. So brought that to the orthopedic. Much to his amazement, I had it with me, and he of course said immediately, surgery, surgery, surgery. So I had to do a follow-up appointment with him because I didn't actually see the orthopedic. I saw his PA, which was just a couple days later, which is your pre-op surgery, which was about 2 weeks out to my surgery. So, but then I needed clearances. So I needed clearance from my general practitioner, which wasn't a problem. I have a cardiologist. I needed clearance from my cardiologist, who needed EKG. He did the EKG, but my cardiologist also asked for a nuclear stress test. I don't think I needed it for surgery, but he wanted it done, so we got it done before surgery. So everything is fine. So anyway, day of surgery, you go in usually in the morning. Hopefully you get a morning appointment because you can't eat. And mine was at 6:45, which was perfect. Didn't need anything. Went in, no big deal. They did a nerve block. I was out by the time they did it. They were telling you they're doing it. You could feel the stuff if you're. Some people can feel the when you're going under, feel the medicine go through your veins, and I could feel it, and it gets cold for me. Some people have different reactions. Sometimes it burns for them. It gets cold, and before he started the nerve block, I was gone. Surgery center was great. They were wonderful people. Been there several times. Did a great job. Out of surgery, it was 30, 40 minutes. Sent home, and they give you your painkillers. They had ordered them ahead of time, so I picked them up the day before, so I had everything ready to go. The nerve block actually stayed in, worked until about midnight the day of the surgery. So for a good, 12, 18 hours. So it worked out really well. That night was a rough night. People say you can't sleep in the bed, you can't do this, you can't do that. So luckily for me, I have wedge pillows, meaning we have pillows in our bed that are like a wedge that you can lay on and raise your head if you want to. A lot of times we wind up just leaning them up against the backboard, and you can sit in bed and you have this nice comfortable spot to lay on. But I put two of them together so I could kind of sit up, and I put a pillow onto my side with my arm so I couldn't roll over onto it, but it didn't work. I wound up in the chair. Interesting enough is you have to be careful. If you get a lounge chair or recliner, make sure it's one that's on the controls are on the opposite hand. My controls were on my right hand, and that's where the controls were, and I can't do that, so I had to use a different chair. So it is what it is. So after we did that, that night I didn't sleep a whole lot, but I did have some stuff to help me sleep. I did have the painkillers. I did take some what do you call it, opioids, and he did give me some other Journex, I think it's called. And I don't know how well it works because you don't feel anything with it as far as I'm concerned. You take it once a day, twice the first day, and it supposedly helps. I don't know. They say this is the worst surgery you can have. It's painful. It's still annoying me today. I haven't taken anything since last night besides the Journex, which I don't know what it does. But anyway, so after I didn't have my follow-up appointment the next day because my doctor was teaching, of all things. So my follow-up appointment, I went the next 2 days later, and this is kind of what I look like. So you can actually see that's my brace that I'm wearing. So a couple things there. That is the way my arm came out of surgery. I had taken a shower that morning. It was a waterproof bandage. And it helped, but it was like a rubber kind of thing, and I felt like I was wearing a shoulder pad the whole day. The brace there is I forget the name of it, something Joy, John Joy. A couple things I'd recommend. There's a little tag on the inside of mine, and it with a QR code. I'd recommend watching the videos if there are any directions. Once I watched those videos, putting it on, taking it off got a lot easier and showed you how to adjust it to make it more comfortable. And so that's one tip there. So this other shirt that I'm wearing here, and you'll see it actually unbuttons at the shoulders. I'm wearing one right now. So I can unbutton it here. And going for the doctor's appointment, this was really helpful because I didn't have to take off the shirt. I could put the sling over the shirt so it was a little more comfortable. So it worked out well for me. Now this is the first day bandage. They took it off and they just put regular bandages and a clear waterproof patch over it. Gave me a couple for future. So there's really nothing. There's nothing there right now as far as, because it's the shoulder that had surgery, by the way. There's really nothing there except for this clear, very thin bandage and maybe a couple band-aids. So, but that's the way it came out, and I can now shower, not a problem. They said, if it gets too wet, the water starts getting under it, dry it, and replace them. So I've already taken a shower, and they stayed. They're fine, so I'm good. But learning how to adjust the sling was helpful, and learning how to put it on by yourself too was helpful, because you're gonna need help. There's things you can't do. You're going to need help. Buttoning your pants if they're tight is impossible. I really can't do a lot with my right arm, and you gotta be careful how you move it. You know right away if you moved it the wrong way. So, and you're trying not to do that because it obviously giving it time to heal. What they call it, I think, a double row, where he double anchored it, and then he did what they call belt and suspenders to tie it back together because it was completely torn. So that was that. So this is what it looked like. It doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but he went in there and he gave me these pictures, and he said he missed the one coming out. He likes to take that picture, and he missed it. But you can actually see on the right side here, the middle picture, right middle, you can actually see the belt suspenders there. A couple of them are blurry, but definitely was torn, and you know, you can actually see where he was doing some work. So I'm very happy with the guy. He's a great guy. So then shirts. So let me show you the shirt. If you want to get the shirt, I'll put a link down below in the comments. But here's the shirt. I would also recommend getting like a baseball shirt. Some button-down short sleeves, a little baggy. I wore those. They work out very well too. This one is nice. I mean, obviously it's weird because it has the sides are open all the way down. But if you need to get in there, or somebody helping you get dressed, because the first couple of days you're probably not going to be able to get dressed on your own. I do take my arm out of the sling and kind of rest it on the side, but you obviously don't want to do any damage to it. So I hope that helps. It just the couple things I found. The doctor said that he liked those. He liked that shirt because it was the assistant who was redoing my bandages made it real easy. So you can see when she walked in, she was like, "Oh, I could take a shirt and the whole thing apart, and I'm just pop it apart," and it was real easy. So I'd recommend getting a couple of those if you could. And so here we are on day 4. First night didn't sleep in bed. Second night I slept in bed most of the night. I wound up getting up real early and going back to the chair. I've cut back the opioids, so I'm less than every 12 hours now, and I'm on the 4th day. Took one last night. I didn't sleep very well, but I wound up in the chair and slept in the chair till this morning, so I survived. It is a little sore now, but I like to push the opioids a little bit. Obviously, I don't want to be in too much pain, but um, yeah, opioids are opioids. I've been on them before for other surgeries and other problems, and it's not the road you want to go down. So you can actually see in this picture my hand is a little swollen. Be careful with that. And I'm actually wearing sweatpants too. So I hope some of that helps. I'll do another update in like a week or so, let you know. But I go back and at least I'll give you another update when I get the stitches out, which they said was 2 weeks. So part of the way there. So I hope that helps if you're getting a surgery. I don't know if it's for everybody, but certainly is working for me, and we'll see where this goes.